Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sound Off Sports. I'm your host, Mike Davis. Today, we got a great show for you. We're going to be talking a little bit about the QB battle that's facing the Raiders right now, plus some college football. And later on, two great people come in the studio to talk about a new league happening here, a 3-on-3 basketball league happening in Vegas. You don't want to miss it. Sound Off Sports starts right now.
Make some noise. This is Sound Off Sports, sponsored by Sam & Ash.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Sound Off Sports. I'm your host, Mike Davis, joined by my main man, James Edward Berkman IV. Guys, we're going to start off today's show talking about the QB battle that's facing the Raiders. You know, there's that old adage, if you have two quarterbacks, well, then you have no quarterbacks. Right now, the Raiders are trying to decide between Gardner Minshew and Aidan O'Connell. We asked you at home, who should be the starting quarterback for the Raiders? James, what are people at home saying?
I feel the guy in number 15, jersey, should be the quarterback for at least 6 months to see how it goes, or 90 days to see how it goes. Well, we know what number 13 does already. So let's try this first. If it don't work, then go back to him. That's my opinion.
All right, so that caller there, clearly he's saying he thinks we should check out Gardner Minshew, start off the season with him, see what he can do, since we already have seen Aidan O'Connell and everything he did last year in his rookie season. We remember last year, Jimmy Garoppolo kind of got unloaded. Aidan O'Connell usurped him in the depth chart, and we saw what he did, but it is fair. A lot of quarterbacks take a leap in their second full season, so it'd be interesting to see Aidan O'Connell. I think we all like Gardner Minshew. We all like him as, a top-tier backup quarterback in the NFL. The question is, what can he really do as a starter, and what's our potential, what's our ceiling as Raiders fans if he's really in that number one spot? So it's going to be an interesting thing to see. I think a lot of this is, Gardner looked great last year in the Shane Steichen offense and playing with the Colts. He almost took them to the playoffs. But what's going to be the situation here in Las Vegas? And that could be a totally different thing. We got to see what Luke Getsy can do as an offensive coordinator handling that side of the football. James, let's hear what people are saying at home, though, on this issue.
This is at JW Nuke 5 via X. He says, Minshew, O'Connell is a pylon back there.
Okay, so yeah, Aidan O'Connell's definitely not as mobile as Gardner Minshew. Gardner definitely is one of those guys who can get the first down with his feet and his legs. So he's shown that throughout the course of his career in Jacksonville and Philadelphia and Indianapolis prior to this. So yes, he definitely is better equipped when it comes to being a mobile quarterback. Aidan O'Connell does bring different things to the game as well, though. So listen, it could be a 50-50 situation, and that's why this might be so puzzling, because I don't know if there's a clear-cut choice on this matter. James, I'm curious where you're at on this whole situation. Are you Team Gardner or Team Aidan?
I'm definitely Team Gardner, and I wanted to come in here with stats from last year to back up my take on this, because I do think Gardner Minshew is the better quarterback. But you look at what they did last year, and they're basically the same quarterback. It's about the same in yards per game, about the same touchdowns, interceptions, even points per game when they were the starter for their teams are about the same. So they're the same guy if you're looking at last year, and that's with Minshew, with an offensive guy like Shane Steichen and Aidan O'Connell, with a defensive interim head coach in Antonio Pierce. So when you look at it, from just blind resume, it's, they're about even. So with that being said, I think when there's a tie in that regard, you got to go with the guy who's a little more mobile, a little more elusive, and that's very clearly Gardner Minshew. So I would lean Gardner Minshew. He's been outplaying Aidan O'Connell by everything we've been hearing at camp. Aidan was a little more efficient in that first preseason game against the Vikings, but Aidan O'Connell was better down the field and actually got them into the end zone. So I think at this moment I would go with Gardner Minshew, but I wouldn't blame the Raiders for going with Aidan O'Connell, a guy who's a rookie, to try and see, what do you actually have in-house?
Yeah, the only thing that looks certain right now is the fact that Nathan Peterman's going to be the third string QB right now. So that's really all we know. Let's hear, though, what more people at home have to say on this matter.
This is Roger McDonald on Facebook. He says, Minshew with those tight ends and receivers, best of his career.
Yeah, listen, Gardner, this could be some of the best, weapons he's had in his career. In Jacksonville, he didn't have too many. In Philadelphia, probably had a little bit better of a situation when it comes to weapons. But last year, Michael Pittman's a great receiver. Josh Downs kind of developed throughout the course of the year. But this year, having Brock Bowers, having Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, it's not a bad situation for the guy. If he's being more of a game manager, I could see him having a lot of success and putting the team in a position to succeed. So I think a lot of people like the experience that Gardner Minshew and maybe the swag perhaps that he brings to the table. I think the Aiden O'Connell thing is whether, do we have lightning in a bottle? Can Aiden O'Connell develop as, a rookie, second-year quarterback who in his rookie season showed some promise? Can he develop into a franchise quarterback? And that's, I think, more of the exercise with trying to see what Aiden can do if he is in that starting spot. We got a couple more responses, though. Let's hear those.
Yeah, we got about 3 more here. Taylor T-Made Pettit on Facebook says, if you watched him last year with the Colts, then I'd say Minshew.
Yeah, last year, how much of it was Minshew, how much of it was Shane Steichen? Shane Steichen comes from Philadelphia, has this great first rookie year as a head coach. Anthony Richardson, top 10 quarterback selected by the Colts, goes down, being a little bit too mobile, and then Gardner comes in and does a great job. So I think if Luke Getsy is, anywhere in the realm near as successful as Shane Steichen is, as in terms of scheming wide receivers open, calling a good game and all that stuff, then either of these quarterbacks could be in a great position to succeed. As we know, James, you're the number one guy on, not taking the Brock Purdy train, and you're all about how the fact that Kyle Shanahan schemes him into a great situation,
100%.
plus with all those weapons. So, the Raiders could ride that train and do something a la Brock Purdy, and maybe, Gardner and Aiden can serve and suffice a kind of role like that. I don't know, but I think that's the spot you got to be in when you don't have a franchise quarterback on the roster, when you didn't select one of those top rookie QBs in the first 12 picks. At 13th overall, we're left with Brock Bowers, who's going to be a great tight end, but you didn't go after one of those quarterbacks. So I think you got to know what you're expecting, with our quarterback situation. I don't think anybody thinks we found the girl that we're going to marry for the rest of our life in one of these quarterbacks. It's just the situation we're left with, right, James?
100%. And the Raiders are not the 49ers in that regard, where Kyle Shanahan has this monster roster, and despite them maybe not having a Mahomes level, Justin Herbert level quarterback, they are still dominant and able to get the Super Bowls. The Raiders are not going to be anywhere close to a Super Bowl. They're going to finish probably near the bottom of their division. So it's different in that aspect.
I think you hold out hope that maybe this is the Trent Dilfer Ravens situation, where you have a great defense. Maybe Antonio Pierce, now being the head coach, knows how to call a football game from a defensive standpoint and run the ball and protect the ball. And maybe you could turn out to be, a wild card team if you play high level football. So I think that's the hope right now. But we don't have the quarterback of the future on this roster right now. It could be coming in the fold next year in the draft. Let's hear these last 2 responses before we go to break.
This is Larry Stevens on Facebook. He says, Minshew, he's more mobile and experienced. Plus, he has a better mustache. O'Connell's needs a lot of work.
Okay, I love that. That's a great response. Listen, Minshew's going to be a fan favorite. We know that. The guy's a good dude. He's got a great personality. So I think a lot of people are going to be rooting for him for a lot of extracurricular reasons. Let's hear that last response.
Finally, from Johnny Blaze and Brimstone on Facebook, he says, you can start them both at the same exact time if the rules allowed it, and they still won't make the playoffs.
Wow.
He's
Johnny
not wrong.
Blazin coming in with a blazing take.
Blazing
All
hot
right.
takes.
We appreciate all the great feedback. Thank you, guys.
I got one last thing on this,
yes.
actually.
Yeah, jump in.
There's a reason they brought in Gardner Minshew, right? Like, you watched Aiden O'Connell, I think it was for 11 games last year. You don't see special when you watch Aiden O'Connell. And I think that's my biggest takeaway when in this discussion is that if they saw what they wanted to see in Aiden O'Connell, we wouldn't even be having this talk right now. They wouldn't have even brought in Gardner Minshew, who played really well and nearly got the Colts to the playoffs last year. So with that in mind, I think you have to go with Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, he played 11 games last year, threw for a little over 2,200 yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He had a decent year. I don't know if you don't watch him after that first year and you're like, wow, this guy, he's got it. It's not all together there yet, but we have all the ingredients to make this pie perfect. I don't know if we have all the ingredients yet in Aidan O'Connell. Listen, Peyton Manning's notorious. He threw like the most interceptions ever for a rookie quarterback, but he got his time out there on the field and he bounced back. But he may have shown things in that rookie season that we haven't seen yet in Aidan O'Connell. And I think if we've learned anything over the course of how the NFL has progressed and how college football players have translated to the NFL, and I'm going to be talking about this later in Sink or Swim, is how there's not as much time to wait and see if a quarterback is good or not. These rookie quarterbacks are translating to the NFL way quicker than ever before. I mean, look what C.J. Stroud did. We're already thinking Bryce Young's a bust from 1 year, and he's got to prove it in this second year, or the way that NFL GMs and executives are thinking about in terms of success and quarterbacks being on rookie contracts and all those things. You got to succeed early. So if Aidan O'Connell doesn't have it yet, then he's going to be passed over, and it's going to be more of a long-term backup situation. So listen, whoever it is, whether it's Gardner or Aidan, they're going to have to lean into a lot of the other traits of this team, because this is not going to be a high-powered offense. This is going to be more of a well-rounded football team that runs the ball, doesn't make mistakes, and plays good defense. If they do that, then they're going to be competitive. Guys, we'll be right back after a short break. All right, everybody, welcome back to Sound Off Sports. I am joined right now by Nicole Williams and Bianca McCall. Bianca, former professional basketball player. Nicole Williams, the founder of the League Las Vegas. Great to have you guys with us. We're going to be talking some 3-on-3 basketball. Nicole, let me first start with you. 3-on-3 basketball. A lot of people are starting to get into it. Ice Cube reinvigorated the sport. We even saw it in the Olympics, a little 3-on-3 play. So now to have Vegas and 3-on-3 basketball, it sounds like a perfect marriage. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with the League Las Vegas.
Well, the League Las Vegas was founded by Brittany Hodge and Marion Livingston in Atlanta, Georgia. They started a league out there for women's sports, health, and wellness. And I saw it, we're friends, and I asked if I could start a chapter. So we're the first expansion chapter for the 3-on-3 Women's LGBTQ League.
And it's, there's a powerful message beyond everything going on the court. Tell us a little bit about, because you guys really sync up with powerful messages. Bianca, we're going to talk a little bit about your TED Talks, but tell us a little bit about everything that's going on beyond what's happening on the hardwood.
Well, beyond that, it's associated with our House of Vegas Pride Festival, and we promote HIV testing, knowing your status, and just overall community here in the city once a year that we come together. And
Bianca, to be a part of this, tell us a little bit about your role in this event and how exciting this is for you.
I was excited to be a part of it, just to be a part of the messaging, the health and wellness, to be a part of the messaging of empowering people to be active, right? Yeah. And to continue to play. Because for me, being a retired professional athlete, that's always on my mind, that last day that I was in competition and wanting to play one more game, to continue one more season. And for me, getting involved has been being involved in the entire host of events through House of Vegas Pride, doing resource events and things like that. With the basketball game, I'll be reffing the basketball game, so I'll be playing the arch nemesis, so to speak.
Tell us a little bit about this perseverance and this story that you've shared with so many people through TED Talks, because I think to hear your story in a short fashion and how it's just a positive narrative for change and for perseverance, and I think all this stuff is great, and it really sinks in to a lot of the common threads that are going to be going on with this whole League Las Vegas event.
Yeah, I mean, it's a journey and it's a process, and I think for a lot of people, a lot of young people, a lot of young women, we think about basketball and we think about, what is it going to be like to compete at every level, at every stage of the sport. Yeah. And a lot of times we think that we've arrived or we've made it, once we've gotten into college and gotten a scholarship, or once we've gotten to the league, right, that we've made it. But really, I think the underlying messaging that I really connect with through House of Vegas Pride is that there's always, retirement in itself is another level or another chapter. It's always about life after the game, life after the play clock expires, in between seasons, or when you are forced to retire, right? It's unplanned through injury or other life events, right?
Yeah.
It's how do we come back together, right? And how do we achieve wholeness as a means for wellness after the game, after our careers are over. And so I'm a huge proponent of living our best lives as our well lives, and looking at wellness from not just the perspective of mental wellness or mental health. I'm a huge proponent of looking at all of the domains of wellness, all of the ways that contribute to having a quality of life where we can be healthy in our finances, we can be healthy socially, we can be healthy digitally, right? And so events like this, it really sets the stage and sets the table to be able to have these conversations.
It's a beautiful thing. And Nicole, you've been doing this for a long time in our community. Two things I implore everybody at home to really do. One, you got to go check out Chasing the Carrot on YouTube. TED Talk Bianca gave. You definitely speak a lot about, spiritual wellness, mental and, physical and all those types of things, and your bouts with all that good stuff. And, so it's a very inspiring story. Also, the other thing I implore you to do, Nicole, tell us where we can find out more, how we can be a participant, and just check out this great event with the League Las Vegas.
Well, you can follow us on Instagram at the League Vegas or VegasPrideHouse.com. This Friday, we're having our second tournament at Doolittle Recreational Center from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. where we'll have Bianca reffing, and we have some teams coming in from out of state to kick off our House of Vegas Pride Festival, along with the founders coming down too as well.
All right. Okay, Bianca, be soft on that whistle when you're reffing for this. Guys, thanks so much for being a part of this today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And let me just say, these jerseys, reversible, they're beautiful. Space Jam vibes for everybody at home as well. Thank you guys so much for being here. We'll be right back after a short break.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back to SOS. All right, James, so now we're going to be talking a little bit about the fact that the Pac-12 dissolved, basically. It's more of like the Pac-2 right now with Oregon State and Washington State. A bunch of other teams left, some for the Big 12, some for the ACC, and some for the Big 10. Oregon, USC, and UCLA moved to the Big 10. We asked everybody at home, how are these former Pac-12 teams going to fare in the Big 10? James, we got one response. Let's hear that first one.
This is at James Rue 33 via X. He says, LOL, not even in the Mountain West. I disagree.
All right. Yes, I don't agree with that either. So once again, we got Oregon, USC, UCLA. 4 Big 10 teams are currently in the top 10, 6 in the top 25. James, what's your take on this? Clearly, I mean, Oregon and USC are going to be pretty dominant, I would assume, in the Big 10.
Yeah, the Pac-12 schools that are heading to the Big 10, they're going to be able to compete. And I think they're going to be able to come in and compete right away. Specifically Oregon, I'll get to them in a sec, but you look at the 4 schools that are leaving, maybe outside of UCLA, who's been rough the past couple of years. Washington, they got a new head coach, but they're coming off a national championship appearance. Oregon's one of the favorites to win the whole thing under head coach Dan Lanning. USC, there's a lot of pressure under Lincoln Riley's seat right now, but he's still one of the best college coaches in the country right now. So they're going to be able to come in and compete for Big Ten titles right away. I do get nervous about the travel aspect of things now, but I don't think it'll be that big of an issue. And you look at the teams that are in the Big Ten. You have Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and Iowa. But then who else is there?
Northwestern.
Really? That's your squad. All right, but if we're being realistic, they're not competing for Big Ten titles, right? So these schools, USC, Washington, Oregon, they come in and day one, they're one of the big dogs. So they're not just coming in here. They're not just going to be able to compete. They're going to be able to thrive, and I'm excited to see it. I think it's going to give us a lot of week to week, great conference games.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of great games. Listen, the rich really are just getting richer in college football, and that's really what college football is about right now. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Cal and Stanford joining the ACC, Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah joined the Big 12. So Big 12 is actually low-key a really great conference as well right now, with 5 in the top 25 AP poll currently. So interesting stuff. We're all excited for college football. I know James has been succeeding and super successful on his Dynasty franchise on College Football 25 on EA Sports. So you got to believe that. But guys, coming up after a short break, we're going to be talking a little bit more quarterback stuff, something I want to talk about that reminds me a little bit of potentially the 83 NFL draft. We got that coming up in Sink or Swim. All right, everybody, welcome back to Sound Off Sports. Real quickly, in Sink or Swim, I want to talk about a lot of these rookie quarterbacks we saw on display in a great manner in the first preseason game. Unfortunately, J.J. McCarthy, he goes down. He's going to miss the full season with a meniscus tear. But, I mean, Penix, McCarthy, Drake May, Caleb, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, all these guys really looked pretty comfortable in their first instances in the NFL. And it's a beautiful thing because, listen, we all saw how C.J. Stroud reinvigorated a franchise. And now NFL franchises are looking for these rookie quarterbacks to come in, be successful, and really be able to take a team to the next level on these rookie contracts and deals. The 1983 draft with Marino, Jim Kelly, and John Elway, we saw 3 quarterbacks come out of that really went to great heights. And I think it's fair to assume, looking from Bo Nix, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, and Caleb Williams, we're going to see somebody come out of this bunch and really develop into a tremendous quarterback. We might even see a few. We'd love to see it. Great quarterback play makes the NFL that much more exciting, and it's great to see how a lot of these teams that were drafting early in the NFL draft that didn't have a lot of fanfare and excitement and a lot of things to be excited about, even for the fans or from an NFL standpoint. Now, because of strong quarterback play, we can get, into some of these franchises that weren't doing so well. So I think great quarterback play is something we want to see in the NFL, and it's a phenomenal thing to see these rookie quarterbacks doing their thing at such a young age. We're all excited about it. We'll see you guys next time here on Sound Off Sports. Thanks for joining us. We'll be here. We'll see you next time.